Hi everyone! Welcome back to the studio for this week's episode of Tutorial Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining me in the studio today for this week's episode of Tutorial Tuesday. I thought we would do a super fun, stormy scene, kind of a night scene, based in the desert. I actually grew up in the Sonoran Desert, and this is the time of year when sometimes the monsoons would get started. They just start rolling in these big old storms, and I just thought it would be kind of fun to paint a little scene around that feeling. I'm going to be using a limited palette today, so just a small amount of colors, and then I've prepped my canvas a little bit differently. So let's talk about that for a second. The entire paint list will be in the description below, so you'll be able to check that out. But right down here, I have my paints. We have titanium white, bright red, alizarin crimson, phthalo blue. This is a lavender mix that's going to be 1 part phthalo blue and 2 parts alizarin crimson. This is just that color mixed with white, and then we have midnight black and that color mixed with white as well, so you can see the variance of those 2 colors. Now up to the canvas. This is my standard 18 by 24 inch canvas, and I've prepped these bottom edges, the bottom and the top, with liquid black, and then I wiped it all off. Like, seriously, wipe it all off. Don't use a whole bunch. The liquid black is kind of a tricky one to work with, but I always just wipe it off. So apply it from the bottom up, and then from the top down, and then a thin coat of liquid white in the middle, and then we can just blend those kind of out to make a little bit of a gradient. Now this whole canvas has been prepped with a very thin, even coat of a liquid primer, but it's even everywhere. So it may look a little bit uneven, but overall the paint consistency is even. It's just not the gradients that are even, but we can fix that later. It's not a really big deal. Now we're gonna have kind of like a little mountain range out here, and then a city glow kind of in this area. Then we'll have some big stormy clouds and a lightning bolt, maybe more than 1 lightning bolt, and then we're gonna have just some silhouettes of some plant life, some saguaros and other cacti in this foreground here. So let's get started with kind of our background colors here. I'm gonna pick up a 1-inch brush, and we're just jumping right into this bold painting today. I hope it works out. I haven't painted this yet. I never give my paintings a test. I just kind of test them with you and hope that they work. So fingers crossed for me. This time we're gonna put in a little bit of a glow with some alizarin crimson. I'm gonna start over in this area. I've mixed it with a touch of titanium white just to brighten it up, and then we'll kind of darken up the edges. A little bit more crimson, just tap into that lightly around the edges. We'll do something like this, and just a touch into the mountain. I'm not exactly certain where we are, but we're somewhere just outside of town, catching this big storm. These lights, this color here will be kind of like the city lights. I think it's a really cool night scene that we're doing. You could totally do this scene on a black canvas, but I think doing it on a white canvas is going to be kind of fun because we use the liquid black, and it's not a very good, I don't know, it's kind of a tough medium to work with. It is fun, but it's a little bit challenging because we get so used to applying the dark so that we can see the light. Now we kind of start with the dark, and we have to paint the light. So it's a little bit trickier, but we're gonna have fun doing it. I'm just starting really slow here because I don't want to go too far into any of our dark colors too soon. So I'm starting with a lot of crimson, and then we're going to come back over the top with our lavender color and bring it down into this crimson. But if we put too much lavender and not enough crimson, we can never really take it back. So we're starting with the crimson in this where we have our liquid white, and we're going to work that all the way up to where we start getting into a heavy amount of our liquid black. And this is going to give us a nice warm backdrop, something to start with, but that we're not fully committed to on anything for the size. This is also going to make our fun little footy hills pop out a little bit more. Well, they'll be backlit with some of this city light. Let's pick up a blending brush and just soften that out. I'd say something like that. Now I'm going to pick up my 1-inch brush and go into my lavender color and just pop over here into this white that we already had working with the alizarin crimson. And we're just going to start moving some layers of dark in here. Just adding texture, giving them some little swirls that's going to push more pressure and make the paint darker. We're going to have some rolling clouds that are kind of moving this way. Just want to layer this dark right up in here. Give it some swirls and texture for our clouds. And then we're also going to take this color and just incorporate it down here in this lower area so that we have our harmony. We always want to try and get all of our colors to harmonize on our painting because it just gives a better feeling for everybody, and it's gonna be, you'll be a lot happier at the end anyway. So we'll just incorporate this into our dark. That way when we come back here with our lights, this lavender will still pull through. Just work it up, not all the way. Try and leave a little bit of a gap here so that we can use this light area to kind of blend and soften and work these colors together. So it'll really work out and it'll pay off in the end. We're going to start down actually in this lower area, softening our dark up. Just bringing these into a soft blend. Then we have this nice gray area to work with on our horizon out here. Now we're going to take some of these clouds and soften those. Long and flat clouds today. We're starting down here, they're really far away and flat. And then we're moving up closer and closer. They're getting bigger. And they're going to lay on top of each other. We'll paint these last. But we still need to soften so that we're not moving around too much color. Let's wipe that out a little bit. and work on this area here. I really want this to be a little bit more lavender out here, so we're going to soften. Let's bring it down some. Just working this lavender into the crimson. We still want it to be nice and pink over here. Then we're going for a gray lavender over here. Simple. This being a night scene, it's going to be completely dark except for our lightning, and our lightning is going to be our light source. So we popped in our little city kind of lights over here to help us out and have another spot for where our light is going to be catching. Now let's just blend all of this lavender down below. Bring it up. In order for this to look nice and bright, we have to have it actually be very dark. So we want this lightning to really pop and really glow in the sky. So we're darkening everything so that it'll pop. Even it all out. Get rid of all of the heavy brush strokes. And I'm going to put just a touch more lavender. I can just feel that it's a little bit light right here on the brush. The look was okay, but I just wanted a little bit more to the touch on the brush. Something that you hopefully will start to pick up. You can feel the thickness of the paint, and we want it to be consistent. On top of the liquid paints, these other paints are quite thick, so you can feel that the consistency is getting different. Pay attention to that. It's very helpful. Now softening and just evening this all out. There we are. Nice and soft. Nice. Oh, I'm loving this already. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. Just, Okay, now what? Let us, we have all of our dark in. What we need to do now is make some of these lights pop. So we're going to outline and dance in some of our clouds that are going to be lit up by this lightning. So we're going to have some lightning that's moving across from cloud to cloud, and some lightning that's actually touching down onto the ground. So those are two different kinds, and we have to kind of establish this for the viewer. So let us pick up some lavender and titanium white. We're going to start with a darker color first and just lay in potentially a little bit more on the lavender side or on the crimson side. Let's do that. And we're just going to lay in a couple ideas of our clouds here. We'll see if we can get this to show up. There, just the bottom. Now we'll blend back, meaning taking the top part of this and softening it, leaving this straight, sharp line on the light edge where we're going to have our lightning coming from down here. So we're softening back, softening up this titanium white, keeping that crisp line on the edge so we can work with it. And we need to get out the brush strokes. Quiet, just barely whisper. There we go. Let's do another one. Similar colors. We don't want this to be too loud yet. Something very quiet. Some background. Something like this. Soften that back. Get rid of the brush strokes. Less is more right now. We're going to start very small, very light, simple. Let's do some more. Something like that. Soften it back. I'm barely using the corner of this big brush. Barely. Just a few bristles. It really doesn't take a lot. We're just trying to barely convince that paint to just soften a little. Now, titanium white, alizarin crimson, and our lavender. Let's do some more. Soften. I hope that you're picking up on the trend here. We're just doing the same thing over and over again, slightly changing the colors, just a little bit, but not too much. It's going to be getting darker as we're moving further away from our light source, higher up in the sky. Okay, I'm going to switch it up here and pick up another fan brush. This is a new fan brush. I'm going to go right into this dark color here. And I really want to emphasize some dark clouds up here. Really get into that dark color here. Scrub it in for some nice dark clouds all the way up here. Maybe right here. And then maybe we'll have a few, just a tiny bit of titanium white, not much. Maybe we'll have just a couple that are showing up in front like this. It just kind of comes down over the top. Soften those just a little bit. Nice and dark. Maybe we'll have something like this. That's nice. Let's soften this. And we're going to soften a little bit of these tops up here. Just give a few a swirl and some texture. There we go. Now back to our highlight and our light colored fan brush. Let's grab a touch of bright red and titanium white. And our lavender color, we're just going to use the bright red to lighten up this color. So we can get a nice bright touch on some of these bottoms. And we're just going to highlight a few areas. Some of this here. Maybe we'll have something like this. Soften. Let's wipe out the brush. We're just picking up a little bit of gunk, but it's not too bad. Now, just soften this, give it a pull, kind of bring it into the direction, maybe lift. Very nice. Okay, let's add just a couple more. Little bit more crimson now, bright red. Just a touch of texture up in this dark, tiny bit. A little bit more crimson in there, just to kind of emphasize this being further away and a little bit darker. We don't want to go with that bright red. We'll use the crimson instead. There. So cool. Okay, now I am going to grab, let's use a sable brush. Let's grab a small sable brush. And I'm going to pick out a couple areas where we are going to have some lightning. And we're going to draw them in. And you know what? I changed my mind. I'm going to use the script liner to do this because I think this will be better. I guess I didn't clean that off all that well from yesterday. It's not to say that the red wouldn't have been okay on that, but let's use just a little bit more grayed out, but some titanium white. We've got a little bit of lavender. Just kind of get that loaded on the script liner. And I'm going to find the space. Let's do here. And that one's just going to go right back up into the sky. And maybe it has some duders coming off of it. And maybe there's another one. Maybe, ooh, throwing my brush. Let's do some little tails that are coming off of this. And maybe these connect here. and something like this. Right here where this one's coming out, we need to add some more light. Maybe here. Just do whatever feels natural, because there's no one photo that's the same. And lightning is just so free. It's a release of energy from the sky built up. Oof. Yeah. We've got one coming back into here. So we need this one to be. Something like that. Maybe we have another one. And it's gonna go right on top. Now, brighten this up here. As this light is just popping through. Okay, now we're going to soften these all out, and then we are kind of going to re-establish some of their bright areas. So we're just going to kind of dab out a few areas where they're really bright, which is okay, but we're just going to tap out some of these. We can even come in and soften some of the areas where they're coming into the cloud. Let's pick up our big brush. Kind of clean that out. Got a little bit dirty. We're just gonna soften. Here we'll soften up. Okay, let's just keep softening these areas. We want everything kind of outside of that light area to be just a little bit softer so that we can emphasize the areas where the lightning is coming out of the cloud. So now let's take our knife, and I'm going to scrape right down the middle of my lightning. Maybe outside we can add in a couple more squiggles and lightning bolts that are coming from it. These are some of those small details that people will notice. And they'll say, wow, Kaylee, look at all of that detail. And I'll say, okay, I just scraped that in with my knife, but thank you. But this makes a really big difference. We're scraping out all of the paint, and this is going to be a nice bright little line. And it ends up looking very, very realistic once it all dries, of these nice, crisp lightning bolts that, you know, people will say, wow, you spent so much time, so much detail, I could totally see this happening, and that's it. You didn't have to try as hard. Now we'll do a couple more. With our script liner, there it is, with some liquid white and bright red. And we're only going to do this to a couple of them. Liquid white, so it's nice and thin, bright red, just a tiny bit, and we're going to go over just a few areas where we want it to be nice and bright. And then we'll do this one here. That's kind of a crazy storm, but let's stop there. Okay, now I'm going to put in a little foothill mountain out here. Just something sweet and cute. This is gonna go kind of all the way across. Dark on the top. Make sure it's nice and crisp. Now we're going to soften this one down just by tapping at the base. Soften it. Nice and soft there, and then we're going to do one more footy hill. Do this. Now soften this one again. Let's lift those up just a little. Now, let's pop on just a touch of a highlight. We'll thin it down just a little bit, just working with our pink color. We can just scratch in a few, just some simple little daubs of light from our storm up here. Maybe on this one, we just have some little bushes out back, just far, far away. Foothill right here at the bottom. It's going to be with all of our dark colors, blue, crimson, lavender, and midnight black. We're just going to mix that right on the brush and dance in this last dark foothill. We want this to be the darkest bit. No light. And we're just going to move this one right up this way. Right up this edge here. And these little bristles are just going to dance up some fun desert foliage, just hiding out in the shadows. It doesn't matter. Just build up some texture in here, and it'll give that illusion of our dark down here. Now we're going to use our script liner and clean it off and fill it with our darkest colors. The same dark color we were just using. Crimson, blue, and black. Okay, now we're going to, I think I'm actually going to use my sable brush. I want some bigger elements here. We're just going to mix up the lavender with the crimson and phthalo blue again. Okay, now I'm going to get a load of that on my brush, and I'm going to put in a nice big swirl. Nice and dark. It's just going to be silhouette because of the lightning. Make it nice and dark. Maybe he's got a couple arms on him. Maybe there's more. Maybe this one's just a little beat up. They can't all be perfect. And they're not all perfect. They are very beaten up sometimes. Oh man, we're gonna have a whole forest here of saguaro. Maybe we'll do one on this side and then we'll probably stop. We don't need to do too many, but they're so cute. Definitely don't want to go up and hug one. They're not that cute. But it's especially awesome when they're blooming and the bats will come out. It's very fun hearing them squeak around. Big fan. Okay, now we've got some saguaros out here. Let's make this one just a little bit stockier. That just seems fitting there. Let's see, maybe this one. Ooh, Man, I'm getting a little crazy there. There we go. Let's fix that. Maybe he's got one that comes out and goes down. They totally do that. That kind of looks funny though. Sticking with it. Okay. Let's finish up this night scene. I think we should do some little other plants. Some sticks and twigs out here. Maybe we'll clean up the base of these. Maybe we'll put some of those saguaro in the background. Just some more little details that will really look like you tried a lot more to do this. Put in a lot more effort for all the details, but you don't have to. Now we need to add some little spikies because we're gonna see them. And we can just take some dark and right on the edge, just tap. And some little spikes will just pop right off. We can even go into a little bit of our light color right on the edge here where we might have a little bit of light popping. We just tap. Some little spines out. Down the edge. Let's use our fan brush and just scrub in a little path. Just right up in here. A little path that's being lit up just a little bit by our lightning here. And maybe just maybe we're gonna see a few bushes out here. Shh, real quiet. Soften that back. Now we do a little bit more right over here, where we've got all of this light just, and it's gonna zing right through to here. Maybe too many bushes. There are some of my favorite bushes out here in the desert. Oh, just a touch. Clean up all of these, just that easy. And dark. Just a little bit of this dark on the brush. I just don't want to lose some of these. The saguaro has like ribs, and I think it's important that we capture these a little bit. Now we need just a couple sticks out here. I'm sort of disappointed in this. It looks a little bit silly, but we're just gonna rock with it. I'm gonna tap on just a teensy little bit of bright in just a couple areas, just to kind of emphasize a little bit more, as we have been with this lightning. And get just a tiny bit of blue on here, and we can do some up the back as well, but we really don't want to make this too bright because then the silhouette kind of goes away and we lose that effect. Back over on some of this path and just add a little bit just in a couple areas here. I'm going to cover this up because it's just, I don't know, I don't like it. I don't like it. So we're going to put another one right here. And this one is in front down here. And he's got an arm. There. Look at that. Look, we fixed. Not always ruined. You just have to be patient, and maybe something doesn't work out the first time and then you have to try it again, and that's okay as long as you do try it, because if you don't, then you'll always wonder, what if I did that? What if? Don't wonder, just do. Don't wonder if you're gonna miss out, or just do it. Just do it. Darken that a little bit. Got my hand full of tools over here again. Right down the sides. Maybe a little on the back. Look at that guy there. And maybe we'll just throw a little bit of brush right under and soften it. Look at that. Fixed. Problem. It wasn't a problem, but whatever. We found a solution. And you know what? I really like this. I really, 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 I love these colors. I just wanted to do a nice, soft, I mean, I wanted to do a storm, but I didn't want it to feel like it was an aggressive scene. So this was really fun. I hope you all had fun with this. I'm going to give it a signature with my bright red. I'm just going to go right down into the corner over here. There we are. All right. All right. What did you think about this painting? Super fun, a very nice warm lavender scene, but with a surprise lightning strikes. I thought this was a really fun, but still kind of like a simple painting. It's very freeing just to kind of put in the clouds and just feel them and make it happen on the canvas. So I really hope you enjoyed this little bit of a twist to our normal tutorial Tuesday, where we use the liquid black and liquid white together to create this nice dark scene. So this was a white canvas that we started with and used the liquid black and liquid white to make this, and it was really, really, really fun. I definitely could see myself doing something like this again. It's been a while since I've done the lightning, so I wanted to give it a try again, and I had a blast. So thank you all for joining me in the studio again this week. My name is Kaylee. I paint wet on wet landscape oil paintings, and you are here for Tutorial Tuesday number 58. Smile and be happy, friends. Bam! One take. We're out of here.